Welcome back to another episode of Blank Pages. I'm your host, Khalib, and I want to say thank you for tuning in. Today is a very special episode. I'm very excited for today. I've been planning for this for like the longest, and when I first started this podcast, I said I gotta have this person on. So for today's episode, it is a special episode. It is Father's Day episode. And, I was like, why not? Why not bring a person that I know is a great dad? I have seen his work. I have seen how he worked with kids. And to be honest, he has done a great job in my life. I like to present you my father, my dad.
Hey, how you doing? Well, this is new, being interviewed by your own son. But I'm glad to be here. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Thank you, Dad.
All right. I'm a big fan.
Awesome.
I'm just gonna let you know after this I want to sign a contract. Okay, anyway this go, I need my bid. But I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Pops.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
When I first started doing the podcast, and I started to see what months were coming up and what days were coming up, within the first year, I was like, I gotta have my dad on. And I always tell people, like, anytime I explain you, I said he's the father's father. Like, he's a dad's dad. Like, he knows how to mentor dads and then also be a dad himself without trying to be an overbearing dad. No matter where you go, you give dad energy.
Thank you. My head is already big.
No problem. To start this off, can you share, and I think I might regret this, one funny or unforgettable childhood memory that you have with me as your son?
I think as when I put you in, I have a picture of when I put you in a car. I had a Premier, a burgundy car, and I remember how you sit around the steering wheel, and your mother started going crazy. You shouldn't let him sit around the steering wheel. And for me as a dad, it was saying, "That's my boy." I mean, I think you were around maybe 3. But you stood in the seat, and of course, as any dad would do, is the hope that your son will be driving. But to her, she I remember when she said, "That's the car, don't put the car." But for me, it was like saying, "That's my boy." Yeah.
One childhood memory I had. You remember your big burgundy van with the TVs in the back?
Oh yeah.
I remember when you first bought it, and he was like mad excited about it. And in my head, I was just like, "But Dad, this is just another van." And then I remember when you opened it up and I saw the TV, and we both was just going hype, and we both was just sitting in the back, was just like, "Yeah, we could watch TV." I was like, "Yeah, we could put on a movie." And you went and you got a movie, and you came back to the van.
That was the
And
plan.
you put it on, and I was just like, "We're watching TV." Listen, back in the '90s, a TV in your car, you was rich. Nowadays, it's normal. But however,
It was a television, a bed in the back,
facts.
a place for refrigerator.
And I remember when we took a road trip with the Greens.
Yes,
and we all
yes,
fit.
yes, in the van.
Yeah.
The plan was, in case I get kicked out of the house, I have a place to stay.
Oh God.
No, it was just have another vehicle. Yeah.
But besides all of that, what do you cherish most about being a dad?
I guess I cherish it's what puts you over the cliff of where you're now saying I have to think differently. Being a dad actually curve your behavior pattern. Like, it makes you look at life more seriously than you would before. Like, for me, my plan was never to be a dad. I don't think anybody just like, I'm gonna be a dad, this is what it is. But what I cherish of being a dad is seeing the fruit of the labor, of course. Looking at you and Michelet is actually saying, again, that's my kids.
Yeah.
It's like, and to even say that, even those who came and lived with us, so many of the kids that we have raised, is to also see that they came in the house broken, but they left owning their own business and actually being a part of society. So looking back at that, make you saying, being a dad ain't that bad. Yeah.
I can honestly say, being a son, Um, I feel like being a black son who has a father that's active is rare. And I did not know this until like quite recently, like I could say like at least 5 years after college, so about like 26. I honestly thought that this was just a thing that people used to say, just, there's no black dads, or, dads inside the home is not really known for black people, because I didn't fit that statistic. And it was a moment where we were in, remember I was a ACS case planner, and we went to do like a father and me course. And while we was doing a father and me, they were asking questions about their father, and every question about your dad being in your life, your dad teaching you this, your dad doing that, my hand is being raised for all of it. And at my table, there was this guy, I can't remember his name, but I remember him saying like, yo, Khalib, you're blessed, because I never had that. And when we got outside, I was like, what do you mean? And it was literally, if the statistic was 1 in 7, I was that 1 in 7.
Oh, cool.
And it made me feel like proud to be like, nah, like I was someone's son, not just yes, my mother in my life, my father, but it was different to know, and then to see the evidence that, nah, bro, your dad was in your life. Like, you had a father in the home, actively being a father. So I feel like being a son of a father, it was like a chip on my shoulder, where like, it was just like, nah, I got my dad. Like, I could call my dad. Like, yeah, I got my mom, but my dad has been in my life. Like, that's someone I know I can go to for like information. So let's talk about the man before you became a father.
Wow. Wow.
Let's talk about that
Dirty
guy.
secrets.
Listen, my one thing I can honestly say about my dad is that he is very upfront, very open, very honest, and transparent about his past. He has told me times where he had a brass knuckle in his pocket. Trust me, he was standing on business before standing on business was a thing. But however, though, one thing I do want to like about you is like your transparency. We're not about to get into anything crazy though. But who were you before becoming a father?
A crazy single man who believed that the whole world was not planning. So again, growing up, we're being in, especially when I started doing music or getting involved with sound, I kind of like the idea of being free, single, and disengaged. So we weren't thinking of being married to a woman, or much as being a father. So it's basically before that, still searching for, trying to find footage, right, where do I belong?
Okay.
And so before becoming a father, it's certain responsibility. As I said before, it takes you to a different level, because now you find out you have to be responsible for something. But before that, you were just free and stupid. Let me just say that. Free and stupid. So you didn't really take life that serious. You figure that either life owe you something or you owe life something, but never took life seriously. So a lot of the mistakes that I've made is is without thinking, just acting out, right? Okay. I'm single. I have no serious responsibilities or anything like that. So what I was before was just basically a young man walking around trying to figure where he fits in the society, and especially when you come from a home where your father is a pastor, and you are involved in the church. I mean, the seriousnness of it all. I went to my clubs and I was in church on Sundays. But it was thinking about it, where my dad was a dad as well, and some of the rules that he laid down in the house, for some reason it was more fun disobeying them, because of course going to the club was more fun than that. So sure. It was basically trying to find my footing in life, that how do I mix between church and what the world offers, and which to me at that time, what the world offers is so much more fun, because you're able to do the things you're doing, and that's basically it is, just a wayward church boy trying to find his footing in the world. That was it.
So before even fatherhood. And so, what changed? Because something had to change for you to.
I got tired. So I can remember for 3 weeks when I moved out of my dad's house. There are a couple of things that happened that I should not have done. One of them, my dad told me not to buy a car because you're not ready for a car. Um, Dad, I need a wheel because how you gonna pick up chicks, right?
True.
And you drive around. How you gonna get this done?
True.
So I had some money saved up. As a matter of fact, when I was working, my dad actually saved some money, put some money away, and that was maddening for me because I was making $75 a day. I mean, a week. That was a lot of money then. But he would take $50 and whatever he did
Put
with
it
it,
away.
but put it away and give me $25. I'm like, it's my
Where's my
money.
money?
I need it now. So, but he told me not to buy my first lesson was, I would say, not listening to the wisdom of my father, where I went and bought the car. I remember paying $800 for the car. It's a Ford Fiesta green stick shift. His method was that at that time, buying the car is easy. To maintain the car
That's the hard
is
word.
the work. So I drove that car around, no oil change. I was too broke to change oil. I can tell them numerous times where I ran out of gas, but because it was stick shift, I was able to, run it down the bridge or push it and start it. But the car gave up. The engine, because I didn't check the oil, never changed the oil, much less to even check it. And the engine gave out. And everything that I've saved for and everything that I thought that was my joy crapped onto me. And it was, again, my dad did not tell me that I could not get a car. That was not his statement. He says, you're not ready for the car. When that happened, I was so mad because now I have nothing. I can't get to where the girlfriends are that I had the car because everything
can't
was
pick
a
up the
driving
honeys.
experience. So it was a distance. I had to drive here now. I can't get there. So how do I get to where Mary is? Or, I'm not calling specific names, but now I'm not where my cuties are because I can't get there without the car. So I was in this mad, craziness, like, geez. And then, the second thing that happened is, during the time of my job, it so happened where I didn't get fired from the job, but I felt like I did. Whatever the person told me, it was more like, you could at least let me know. So now I have no money saved. I have nothing. And I moved out of my dad's house. I was living in a room. So now, not on top of that, I had to pay rent for a room. And I remember the reason why I moved out, my dad says there was only one man living in the house. I couldn't take a girl in the house. That was forbidden. So for me is I need to live. I need to have a roof over my head, a bed, and whoever want to come over have a space. But I remember when I lost the car, then I lost that job. And for 3 weeks I was in this deep depression. I stayed in my room and I ordered Chinese food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for those 3 weeks, I didn't care if I wanted to take a shower. I didn't care what happened. I was just like mad at the world. I can't say I was mad at God because I know better, but I was just mad at the world. I remember I got a job working for my uncle. Called my uncle, but getting out of that 3 weeks being there, I remember saying to myself, "It can't be like this. Could this I'm seriously will die." I was not on drugs, thank God. So I didn't have get high and deal with it. I didn't want to do that. But I remember staying in that room and someone said to me, without me even telling them what's going on with me, and this is one of the things why I believe in church and persons you're around in church, said to me, "Michael, whatever is going on, you have to change the way you think. I remember the person saying to me, you need God in your life." To me, I'm a church boy. You need God in your life. All of the stuff you're trying to do, you're trying to run away from your calling. You need God in your life. And during this time that I did that, my uncle called me, Uncle Brown, which is he's passed now. Uncle Brown called me and asked me, said he's a plumber, and I started working with him, which was good because he really taught me plumbing. But I remember one day I was in the basement, and I just got tired of whole feelings. I remember going. I went to one club the Friday night. I must have club hopping from Friday to Saturday. I went to church the next day. Didn't even know what happened. Sunday went to work that Monday, and I felt cheap. Number one, I felt like it's like my life is nothing. It's nothing. It just felt so empty, where I wouldn't say I had the thoughts of committing suicide, but I really had deep thoughts like, this is it. And I remember listening to a song, and up to this day, that song is my testimony. God is my rock. Praise him, praise him. And I didn't cry. I bawled. Now, for years, you would never get me shed a tear. and I was always in black. Yeah. No matter what. I mean, I'm different now in a black shirt, but I was always in black because black was the get ready for party. Wherever you're going, you're already dressed. But I remember, so my life changed with that song because I was tired. I got to a place where, God, if I don't, I am not going to make it. And it so happened within that year is when I my wife start looking at my wife differently, because of all the time that I've liked her. She's a church lady. I ain't gonna get nothing, so I want to stay away. So when everything starts changing, God, you gotta help me with that.
I feel you on that one. You want to tell Janika, he was not playing. I didn't even know you even knew Jesus until we start getting deeper, and you start shouting and saying hallelujah, and I'm like, who are you? I got catfished with a church girl.
Yeah. And that's when major things start happening. I realized that all the girls that I've been dating, I never had to really support a relationship in the sense of finance or anything, but just not being there. Being a pastor's son, and at times I was in UCAM director for years, so everybody knows you. So you don't want to be attached to anyone just in case.
True.
You want to be like, you don't want to say, you want nobody to tie you down.
True. Listen, to all the church musicians and singers and dudes, you just nod your head. True.
True. You want to get tied down. But when Angie, your mom, I realized that I just start having this like towards her, but I just ignore it because it's not going anywhere, because she's not looking for a boyfriend. She doesn't have a boyfriend, not looking for a boyfriend, nothing like that. And me, I'm not getting no date where I can't get nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, boom, Thanks. I'm not ready for that. So I stayed away. But I also recognize that I also need to change me, because I will never really receive what I'm supposed, whatever blessing God have in store for me, I'm definitely not working towards it. And that's when things start changing. I start liking different things, ministry. I tell people all the time, I never sang in church. I never want to play music in church. I must have started singing in church when I was maybe about 37. But I never started. You never get me join a choir. I would, play the bass for New York State, but there's certain things I wouldn't do. My twin brother, of course, Junior, he was the musician and everything. He was the one that would carry the Bible for Dad. Me, I'm just the dude that's there. And pretty much didn't want anything to do with ministry. So I realized after a while, remembering what the lady said, and what I'm looking at now is like I'm looking at life differently. And like, if I really want to settle down, the person I want to settle down with, the way I am, it will never happen.
True.
So that's when things start changing for me.
I can honestly say from those three things, it's very evident, because I don't remember. You still say it to this day. Granted, yes, you can do it, but can you maintain it?
Yeah.
Even down to when I was even trying to pick up like a boot camp. He was like, Khalib, you already have stuff on your table. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but can you maintain it? And I used to get annoyed with that. until I heard the story about you and your car. And that has literally have been like the driving force. Like, okay, I could definitely buy this. I could definitely buy this. But can I maintain it?
And the same thing for relationship. It's easy to get a girl. It's easy to say she's my girlfriend,
Can you
or
maintain
vice
them?
versa. But
Maintaining the
Maintain
relationship,
relationship,
that's another new boss.
because
After
nobody
boss
tell you,
after
nobody
boss.
tell you about the humps, the bumps, and
The
And
bumps?
even if somebody tells you, you're like, nah, that ain't me. I
It-
can handle it.
It's not no bump. It's a whole mountain. It's a whole cliff. But yeah,
Yeah. So that was it.
I do like the fact that those three things that shaped your views to change is something that you were constantly instilling. I even remember down to you even saying like, Khalid, you gotta remember your calling. Khalid, I understand you love singing, but that's not your calling. Like I heard your calling. Like I was there, and I am happy to say that every time I did get a confirmation on my calling, you was present. Like it was like if my father wasn't here, like that was like also a telltale for me. If my dad's not here to hear this, it's not real. And it was not as though people who knew me, because granted we are known in the church and on other churches, is always by someone random, someone that we don't know, someone that we never seen, someone that hasn't even talked to us, even saying hello. It's literally saying, hi, how you doing? I even remember in General Assembly, some guy walking by, he was just like, you. And I said, yes. And he was right there. And he says, this your son? And he prophesied. He's like, you're going to be a good prophet. Like, I see that. Like, I don't know who you are. I just feel led to tell you that. Another time, the white lady said it. Another time, and the last time we was at Auntie,
Yeah,
it was
at
Auntie
the
Yvette.
picnic, yeah.
At Auntie Yvette house, and he didn't even know that you guys were there.
And I'm always the one to always remind you, because I know how I struggle.
Yeah.
I know the struggling when when you run away from when you're running from something, it literally takes you further from where you should be, right? So the policy is you never change the dollar. You let the dollar chase you. If you're called for something and you're doing something totally different, in the physical world, it's a problem, but especially in the spiritual world. And so I'm always behind you, at sometimes very harsh, because I know, of course, you look back and say, if I had answered or changed my the way I was traveling back then, where I would be, or I know the pain. I know how hard it is to fight back from some things, and not everyone will be able to pull out of the rut like someone else. So for my thing, again, my dad told me certain things because wisdom taught him certain things. So then my only thing was to then say, Kili, because now wisdom taught me certain things, but at the end of the day, you have to have your own experience. And if you love your child, any at all, you wish they would have certain experiences. The reality is they will have it, but at least be prepared for it, knowing that your calling is your calling. You can't run from it.
So I hear you talk about grandpa. So what is one wisdom or one piece of advice that he's given you that you passed down on to me?
That would be, I remember vividly, Dad parked his car. I think a guy wanted to park his car, but Dad pulled that. He had a station wagon, so he parked. The space was open, so he parked in the car. The person that wanted to park there went across the street to get his car to park there, but Dad didn't see him. But he started cussing Dad, like he started cussing Dad, and my father wasn't saying a word. My dad was just taking the things out of the car like nobody was talking to him. And I'm looking at that going, the man is cussing you, and I remember looking at that like, he's like, if it was now, I would say, Dad, do you have ear buggings in your ears? Because he wasn't responding. He was just and the guy was just cussing. The guy was just going off. And I got angry because, now, me, I'll fight in a minute. Yeah. I got angry and I'm ready to go. And Dad said to me, what are you doing? I said, don't you hear the man cussing you out? Well, he says, if you respond to him, Then he's cussing me out.
Hmm.
You say, he's not cussing me out. You haven't seen me pay attention. In other words, he didn't even pay attention to the man, so it can't be him.
So yeah.
And then he said to me, look at everybody passed by. Who are they looking at? Because the guy got more upset that my daddy's not responding to him, that everybody stopped looking at him because he's the one that acting crazy. And I learned that day that somebody cussing you out, if that's not you, you don't have to respond to it. You know, like we fight because somebody say your mother is a this. If you answer that, that means you're telling them that your mother is.
Once you acknowledge
The
it.
lesson for me is that if it's not you, don't respond to it. For him, he was able to block it out because that's not me. Everything the man is saying about me is not me. As a son, I'm ready to fight. And to him, if I had fought that man or respond to that man, I would be the person that said that he is whatever that man is saying. Because I'm fighting to defend his identity when everything that the man is saying is not his identity. So I learned, I've gathered that, and yeah, that was some of the things. And also his the way he would protect us on certain things. He would see it happen, speak to us before, but also puts us out of the way. If anything, he would take the blow. I always remember my dad like that. And then he was very athletic with us. He would play. We had a yard. He would play cricket. He was a traveler. Time when he traveled, comes back, cooked very good, you know. So I remember those memories of my dad.
I do remember have fond memories of me little, and if you were doing like a sound for a place and the preacher was preaching, and I was either getting too bored, you would literally take me out and just either start playing catch or playing tag or just have me run around. And I can honestly say, like, because of the way how you are with me, when I am like around other young people or youth or kids, and I see them act out in a crazy way, my first thing is like, let's go play. Not, all right, they need to sit down, because I've seen you be active with me. And in return, it's something that's natural. It's like, the guy's supposed to, like, you know, the dad's supposed to be active with the child. Like, if the child wants to run, the child is a child. Allow the child to be a child.
And for me, doing that is not to make you look at church as being boring, because then you don't understand what was going on. And I was never afraid to take off my jacket, put it on the floor, and play. Yeah, and that's also something I learned from my dad. He was not afraid to pull the car over, play, or have certain activities.
So I want to fast forward to today. I was conceived. What changed for you as a father in that moment?
That listen, everything changed then. I went to work that Saturday, and your mother called me and told me that her water broke. So I dropped her at the hospital, because that's where a doctor was, and dropped her at the hospital, and I went back to work to sign out. And when I came back to pick her up, they said she's in the delivery room. And I remember being in the delivery room. I was so tired. So I sat in a chair and I dozed off. If looks could kill, I would be a dead daddy. The looks that your mother looked at me, because she was in pain. She was in pain. But I realized then that, wow, for some reason, all the energy you would ever sleep, where it went, I don't know. But I got up, I remember holding her hand, and I remember while she's there, and she says, the baby's coming. I was like, where? No. But baby, there's nobody here. I remember she held my hand, and the vice grip, so I had to move my hand. And all of a sudden, I'm going, breathe. You're trying to remember what we learned. And I remember seeing, I guess what shocked me is when I saw your head. And I'm like, there's nobody here. There's nobody. I'm like, you can't push the baby out. And so it happened that the doctor came back to check, just to check and see if we're at what stage she was at the time. And as quick as the doctor walked in the room, you just came right out. You're
What?
9 pounds plus. She had you in less than 3.5 hours. So I was brave until that point. I was good. I had it down. I'm the doctor, I'm the nurse, until they wiped the baby and gave the baby to me to hold. And all of a sudden, my hand became jelly. So it's like, oh, you can't play that. It's like, that's your son. What? So it was that moment that, wow, this is you.
Hmm.
I think the whole experience was shocking. But at that time, it was basically saying, geez, I got to live for this man. I got to live for this baby.
What do you hope to teach me? Or, like, what do you hope lessons that I take from you throughout your father?
Is to be real to yourself. Know your weakness and know your strength. Don't be afraid to express the way you feel, because we're taught as men, and I think it's a drug that it's a spiritual drug that was placed on us, where we should be so tough that even when we are in trouble or something's bothering us, that we just should ignore it and move on. And sometimes it doesn't really affect you at that moment, until further down in life you're like, why am I acting this way? You have never dealt with certain things that happened to you before. So when you get to an adult, and you're acting out, there's always a point where you have to check back. So it's always being real to yourself. Spend time on you. I've learned that even now. You have to spend time. You can't love someone else the way you should love them if you don't really love yourself. So you have to see that you're valuable in this world, and you're valuable in any relationship that you're in. And don't be afraid to say, I need help. Don't pretend that you have it all together. And in case you make a mistake, don't allow that mistake to cause a burial, in the sense where you just don't ignore certain things, because it has a way of just springing back up. And so I would say to you is, and follow your passion. It is what leads you to where, even what God have in store for you, because God placed certain things within you that will help you in your ministry. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but what's hard for someone else, for you, is a challenge to complete, which is different from the person who says, this is hard. To you, you're saying, wow, this is not hard. This is just a challenge for me to overcome. And I think one of the main key to all that is, don't forget who you are. Never forget who you are.
I can honestly say there's times where I will never forget it. Driving, when you remember when you first took me driving on the concourse, and I remember I was like, Dad, I don't think I could do this. And he was like, you're Grant, you could do it. And I was just like, what? And it was, and I understand it to be not like a full sense of pride, but it was like, technically, like, just because my last name Grant doesn't mean anything. It is just a last name. But because I came from someone else whose last name is a Grant, and he has instilled these lessons onto me, yeah, I can handle this because I'm a Grant. I even bring it into my marriage. There's some things like, let's say like me and my wife were lifting, and she can't lift up a weight, or not even can't. She looks at the weight and she looks at me and looks at the weight and looks at me and like, what am I about to do with this? And I'm like, you're going to lift it. And she's just like, but I can't do it. I'm like, you're Grant. Granted, she got adopted into the family. But I'm just like, no, you're Grant. You can do it.
It's like, I see your house with weights. My basement was all weights. Remember my arms popping out, no neck, chest out to here. Yeah. And that was another segment in my life where I realized that the way being bulky and having all these muscle mass was basically because of insecurities. Like, I want to look this way because people will recognize you. I want to be, I want to be that guy.
Oh.
But then realize so for me, at a certain point, I mean, I could stop at a certain point, but I love the idea. Look at your arm and your chest and stuff like that. It was like, wow. So now, but then it became a part where I recognized it was, seriously, to be honest, it was, wow, insecurities. I do this to feel secure. So what if I didn't have it? that was the whole idea. And of course, I stopped lifting weights. I stopped working out like that. Started jogging because I couldn't maintain. But then I feel confident in who I am. Say if I wear clothing, if I put on a hat, that's who I am. It's not because I'm just trying to impress Johnny or Mary, whatever it is. The one person you want to impress first is your wife. She says cool.
Big facts.
Put on a shirt. She said cool. That's it. I could wear the other seven. But going back to lessons that we learned. I've always said to you and to the kids, I could say to the kids, it's best to try at something and fail than to have regrets that you never tried at all. And that is something that's passionate in your life, where to study a test, like if you're going, it's just say you want to study for something and it's deeply embedded in you, it's best to go at it, know that you fail, but you did your best, then one day look back at I should have. And that's what kills us a lot of times is the regret. Regrets is I should have. I said it to your sister that I don't mind if you fail and you try hard. You get better satisfaction because when you go back again, right? There's a better satisfaction. I did my best. When I went back to school, the one subject that I know I would get at least a A or A plus in, I didn't pay attention to it. And I remember I spoke to you about math. Math was my enemy. But even though I got an A minus, which a lot of persons would say it was good, for me, I know I could have got an A plus because I know the subject, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't study enough to get, but I know I could have gotten A plus. It bothered me, not because of the grade, but because I missed the extra mark because I didn't pay attention to it. So it's always best to fail at something and try again if you so choose to do that, than to say regrets. And a lot of us, we live in regrets. As fathers, we live in regrets.
I feel as though that's like the backing up to the your grant. It kind of hit me when I was trying to figure out, when I was talking to you, like if I should do this boot camp. And one thing you told me, he was just like, Khalib, I don't want you to do it and not do your best on it. Like if you're going to do it, then I need you to basically just be locked in.
And what's the purpose?
And what's the purpose and what you want to get out of this? Like I don't want you to just commit to something and nothing is going to grow from this. If you're going to commit to something, make sure that the amount that you're committing into it is also committing back into you. So don't just commit your all and all of its giving is just 10% of what you gave. No. If you're giving 100, make sure it's going to give you back 100. So I remember on those nights where I was doing projects and I was just like, it's like, it's getting like to 10 o'clock instead of to 11 o'clock. And it will be like a little whisper like, yo, you're Grant. We got to finish this. Because let it be a C plus, and you could have gotten an A if you would have just worked until a little 2 a.m.
Yeah, it would bother you.
It would bother me.
Yeah, it would bother you. Yeah.
So let's get this 2 a.m. Let's go to 2 a.m. because you know that this is going to be the best work that you have done, and whatever grade that you get from it, you can live with that. But if you stop right now, and whatever grade you get, you're not going to be okay with it. I do appreciate these conversations because it's like confirmation of the things that I've seen and I've learned and I've heard from you over the years. But now it's like, but this is why, not this it is. And I do like that, Dad. I do like that. I remember you telling me a story about how when I was a baby, I needed like special formula. And you couldn't, like, you guys didn't have enough money to go get it. And you went to the store, and I believe the lady, you ended up like flashing your famous smile, and the lady ended up giving you at least 3 cases for the price of like 2 bottles of milk.
And then your mother said you should go back to the store.
Exactly.
Well, actually, because again, personalities, right? Personalities. Where I think one of the issues that we have, well, it's not an issue, it's an issue for others. Wherever I go, I must not be the one that's uncomfortable. I'm just a friendly person. I don't care what color you are. So I easily will start a conversation, or they call me May on the block because I know where everything is. And of course, if it's a mechanic, they know me. I could leave my keys somewhere,
Yeah.
So what happened, I remember going into a store and I just basically laid out, where it is, where I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I remember coming home with the feeding, and I didn't do much. My mother always said, my mother always tell me that your smile and your personality will get you in trouble. you know. But I think it's more where authentically you're not trying to fake certain things, or you're just being real when you go into a store. I mean, I don't believe I went in there with my face made up in tears, but and it's the reason why we are like that. Again, I get it from my dad, right? Where there's two different mom and dad, right? Where even in our relationship, I'm the guy walking into a room and everybody like, how did you know this person? Oh, did you? And I said, no, I just met the person. Where my wife takes a while, but that could also get you in trouble. To where you become, that could also put you in a place where you become passive, in the sense of, or trying to make friends where you may not realize it, why Johnny doesn't have to talk to you. You're friendly, but Mary doesn't even want to talk to you, and it has nothing to do with you. It just simply means that they're not there. So sometimes you walk in the room, wait a minute, I didn't do anything. How comes such and such? And I have to learn all the way. Not everybody is willing to have open arms. Not everybody is willing to go, oh, no, not like that.
I can honestly say I get my extrovertness from you, if that's even a word. My way of greeting people is like similar to yours. It's just, I'm not going to feel uncomfortable, nor do I want you to feel uncomfortable. So in order for us to not feel uncomfortable, let me just shatter the ice and just say, hey, how you doing? And I can see how that has put me into circles or put me into groups where other people may have failed. I can honestly say even in college, it had benefited me so much, to the point where I even got my room cleaned. I even was fed. I was looked after. Like I had friends of other ethnicity, other groups, even now I even have friends of other ethnicity, other groups. But I feel like it's more surprising where I have friends of other religions, and they hear that I am a Christian, but I'm not acting like a Christian, and I'm just like, well, how does a Christian normally act?
I think because you're treating people like people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, how would I like,
I feel like
you
you're
don't go
human.
in there with a judgmental attitude. You go in there like, that's me, and issues like that.
Yeah, like when I went to celebrate Eid, like I understood, like I was going there and it was not my religion. It's it's mostly a Islamic household. However, you're still human. You got flesh and blood. We even have conversations about God. I understand you're not talking about my God, but you're talking about how God is good, and I can relate to you because God has been good to me. And one thing I loved about that is that every time I have a conversation with someone or with a random person, I can walk away feeling like I wasn't a douchebag. Like, this is what humans are supposed to be like, interacting and not judging. And one thing I can honestly say with you, I've never felt judged, even down to the hairstyles. Granted, some of the clothes that I wanted to wear, when you told me no, I was upset with you. Like when I wanted to wear shorts to church, he was like, no.
Oh, Lordy. I mean, yeah.
But however, one thing I can honestly say is that I have never seen you judge a person. You took them for who they are. And if they were a little bit too out of taste for you, or if they were, acting up, you would just take that, but you won't involve yourself anymore. And for me, I can honestly say that through life, I have taken that without even knowing it. Like I will talk to anyone. Like I always say, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt until I start to doubt your benefits. And if you give me a reason why I should not talk to you, I'll turn into mom as soon and just like, I bet we don't need to talk. Hi, how you doing? And keep it a buck. But however, I can honestly say with you, I have developed a humanistic, because I'm not going to say I'm a humanitarian, but humanistic way of greeting people of other religions, creeds, nationalities, views, even genders. That's how it is. I'm going to respect you for you.
I think when you leave, there should be a welcome. I welcome you back. And if we're gonna represent Christ everywhere Jesus Christ went, apart from those who really hate him because he was taking people away, they will welcome him back.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. Doesn't matter what room we're in, if there's help needed, we're first.
Yeah, we first to
I
go.
learned that from my mom. Got that from my mom. Got this. That's our family. We're the helper. We're the table need fixing. Let's do it. Somebody got sick. Let's clean up. So that goes along with what we have learned, and I've of course saw that in my dad saw it so much in my dad, to the point we felt like, Dad, you're doing too much. They're not paying you. Why are you doing it? It was these things like, what did you get?
Yeah.
Happened to me when I did so many things. And the question is, did they pay you? No,
Nope.
but why would you? Because it's needed. It's needed.
Share a moment that you were most seen or loved through me. If that would make any sense. Like a moment where you was just like, my son sees me, or my sons love me. Like, what moment was that for you?
There's so many moments.
Oh, wow.
I've spoken to.
You're doing a good
even my
job.
wife. The way that you, being a pastor of a church, and having your son there with you, you're like my right hand. It's like, if I make a move this way, you move. The support. So even if I had a bad day, or, a support system, a support that's there. I mean, we could reflect back to even when you were younger, but now that you're grown, which I think is even more important, because you could have done whatever you wanted to do. But I think just the support system, you feel like he's here and he has my back. So even sometime I'm on stage and you're there, I'm so comfortable. Like a lot of people wouldn't understand. There are moments when I have serious back pain while standing. I mean, thank God that's worked out where I'm not feeling. But you would kind of sense it without even knowing if I was in pain or not. But the way you would respond, it was like, all right, my son, thank you. You got my back. It's like that kind of a feeling.
Wow. The time I can honestly say, for me, it was kind of hard to pick, especially like stories that I have in my head. But the one time I would really like was seen. I told myself I was not gonna cry. High school graduation, and it was after you had surgery the day before, bro. And I remember you pulling up, and you was like at least half drugged on whatever medication they was giving you.
Yeah.
And you literally just had surgery on your arm, on your shoulder to be exact, and you was in a sling. I remember it wasn't the fact that you even came to the graduation. It was the fact that you came to the graduation. You stayed the whole entire graduation. You stayed the whole entire dinner. And then we had to take a train all the way back from like Lower East Side all the way back to the Bronx. And I was just like, this literally is within not even 24 hours post-surgery. Anytime I felt as though like I didn't have anyone in my corner, I always knew I had you in my corner due to that one moment. Granted, yes, there's other moments in my life, but that one moment shined so bright because I was just like, he had every excuse to say, nah, I'm not going to be there.
I didn't take, just so I could be on point, I didn't take any medication, painkiller that day, because I didn't want to be
walkie or anything.
Yeah, but again, senior graduate was enough medication. It was all the medication that I needed. It's a protective mechanism, and I must be there. As you were saying, I remember the surgery. I just got out. Just got out, padded. I didn't put any ice on because I want to be real.
If someone was to leave a hospital and you had to question if they needed to go back, that's how you looked.
Yeah.
But however, it was it shined a light to like, nah, my dad loves me. Like this is the unconditional love that.
You know, when I first there was an incident that happened that had me thinking differently. That as a father, you have to be a protector. And I don't know if you remember the Maxima, white Maxima, when the guy came over and punched me in my face.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to him, "My son is in the car." I wanted to fight him, and I know I would have won that fight. When he came over, for some reason he said I cut him off. Didn't understand, but I kept saying, "My son is in the car," because if I had fought him and anything happened, my first thing is what would have happened to you because you're in the car. And I kept saying, my son is in the car. When he reached over, up to the day, I haven't felt, I didn't even know if he had punched me or not. I just know that, I know he hit me, but it didn't, it was just bounced off. But I kept saying to him, and I wanted to open the door. I wanted to charge after him, but I kept looking in the back. I said, my son is in the car. I remember when his partner heard me saying that, he jumped out of his car, was willing to fight him. The whole idea, he recognized the respect. My son is in the car. No matter how angry I felt, no matter how much I wanted to take revenge, it was that who's in the car, I'm responsible for. So I couldn't just go have a fight and get crazy, then leave you in the car. Next thing I know, you're in the precinct waiting for somebody to pick you up. But I remember that day. It's actually when I look at it, and I would normally, like, you have that anger or that frustration lingered. It, there was no lingering that day or anything. I want to take revenge because my son is in the car. And I remember saying that to that person so many times, like repeating it. Sir, my son is in the car. Sir, my son is in the car. And I think that's one of the reasons why he threw the punch, because he wanted me to come out to have an argument. And I said, my son is in the car. For me, if I leave the car, I'll leave my son. So that's, again, being a father, you have to think about what's more important to you than your feelings.
That is true. So, how does being a father shape your relationship with God then? Because both of y'all are fathers.
Wow.
And granted, he's the perfect father, but however,
Yeah, it's a unique relationship because if you can't be truthful to the responsibility that you have here, you can't be truthful to the Father. You know what I mean? I can't go to him based on what I feel. I have to go based on what I know, right? And we, especially we're taught to be not that emotional. We're taught to be tough, and the truth is, you can't really serve effectively if you're not sensitive to the persons that you're around, especially your children. So with God, is he takes care of you in a different way, where I am secure. My faith is secure because I know who he is, right? I could call on him. I don't see him, but by faith, I believe he hears me. When we get in trouble, I don't care if you're haters or not, like that. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's also knowing that he's the one who blessed you with the gift of a child, and it's your responsibility to do your very, very best to make sure you raise that child properly in the fear of the Lord. And when I say fear, not afraid of him, but in reverence for the Lord. And how that works is by you doing your best. And there are times when you have to go back to God and say, God, forgive me. Right? You forgive me for what I've done, because I should have done better. I should have done this a better way. I should have done that a better way. But the real connection is we also have to learn that we've been so bad. And I use the word bad, not going to say evil, but we have been so bad, and God still forgives us.
Yeah.
And at times we have to there are times when you do something, we have to realize, hey, forgiveness is
needed.
you have is needed, and not only that, you have to be sensitive as well. So the connection between Heavenly Father and Earthly Father, His principles. And I mean, we can't be good at everything that he's done, but one thing, He loves us. He provides for us. The three cores. He's a protector. He's a provider. And He cares about us. He's a counselor. Those three things: protector, provider,
Counselor.
and a counselor. He protects you from danger. He provides the means that you need to eat, clothing, and He counsels you. That means He instructs you the way you should grow. Yeah.
So what do you think God entrusted you when He gave you kids as a father then?
At the moment, it never comes to your mind. It's over a period of years you realize that this is not just a human trust. This is a heavenly trust. Like, you have to look at it like what my father did is not because he just wanted, because it doesn't matter which home, whether you have whether you didn't have a father in your life or you had a father in your life. There's an advantage of having your father in your life. But there's no book that's written, because I could not have dealt with you the way my father dealt with me. Things have changed. But however, there's a certain standard there. And after a while, you realize, God, this is my trust here. If I fail at this, what is? So it's really a trust issue. Because I don't believe, He says He's not going to give you more than you can bear.
True.
And I put a second part to that. He's not going to give you. Do we pick up things that He didn't give us, right?
Facts, we do.
But yeah, but being that He has blessed, and you have to look at it with, not everyone is blessed with a child, but I'm blessed with two beautiful kids, and He has to be where God. This is His blessing, and how I take care of the life gift that He has given me. It's very important for my Christian journey.
So how does it feel to be, how does it feel to see your kids like grow up into adulthood?
I think it's even more, wow. I think sometimes you look at it as like, I can't believe this is Caleb. I think my joy is to see that you have your own stage. Everybody has a performance. You're not living. People recognize you for Caleb. The things that you're doing recognize you for Caleb. They may say that's pastor grandson, but then you have your own
Identity.
identity. And I look at that going, that's why I even said to your son, I'm so proud of you, because you're not doing things because I say go do it. I'm looking at stage going, boy, and, I did this, I did the other part of it, you're doing it now. But I think the greatest thing is, and I said it over and over, I brag about it so much, is that you guys are with me. You are on the stage. It's like, Michelle is back there, she's making sure everything works. So for that alone, it's so much to give God thanks for. And apart from that, from the spiritual, let's go back to the physical. You're working, you're married, and you're maintaining. I look at Michelle graduate and working. The truth is, y'all could be drug addicts. Y'all could have been in jail. The worst of the worst could happen. So, but I look at you all and say, wow.
Oh, thank you, Pops. I can honestly say, I can never, ever, 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 ever say that my father's not proud of me. I feel like you take any moment to say it, you're going to say it. And sometimes it'll be like, for what? And you'll just like, just because. And I'll be like, all right, Dad, thank you.
I'm proud of y'all. Yes.
What do you want your grandkids to know about you, even if they never get to meet you?
Just basically who I am, in the sense of,
Because now we're just talking about your legacy.
What would you say about Grandpa? I guess just the idea where being the best. I don't even know how to phrase that. I guess just being the maintenance man, so to speak. Anything needs fixing. There's a history of that where Dad, I'm having issues with my car, and he would go, Did you pull off the battery cable and clean it? And I was Dad, the car not start. So I learned to I learned to be a mechanic, and on not really seriously, but the maintenance on the car because of my dad. I was able to feed on him. So what would people say about me is that I'm available. If you have issues, wherever you have issues, I'm that type of person that's not afraid to say, to help. Also, I'm not afraid to tell you, follow your dreams and make sure that whatever you do, you keep God first.
Gotcha. What is one thing you hope that I'll never forget about you?
Me being me.
That's a valid.
Me being me yeah, yeah. But never forget about me. I think one thing is I went back to school at 50.
Yeah.
Never thought I could study. It's a lot.
And look at you.
Got stabbed in my head. Couldn't study. Didn't know what was going on. Went back to school at 50. Graduated cum laude. Life is not over. I think that's one thing that I could say I would leave behind and tell any man out there. Life is not over at 50. Society says so. But I went back to school, finished my BA, became a bishop.
First try too.
First try. And now I'm pastoring a church. It's never over. What you do with your time is important. And I think society, I say that because society a lot of times tell us that if you don't have this by certain times. But things happen. Like, for instance, for me, it's not like I didn't try. It's just that whatever happened to me when I was younger with that incident blocked me from moving further in education. But what was strange is the moment I recognized I could pass the test, in 1 year I had 7 different certificates. In 3 years I had over 27 certificates because I went crazy. Why did I slow down? Because I was afraid to lose what I now gain. And I realized I wasn't going to lose it anymore. But that is one thing I would say, that don't give up on life. Some men have been to jail. Some men, whatever happened to them, that they weren't able to start life at the time when they should. Stop looking back and start moving forward.
Okay.
Know that what you do from now on matters. You can't bring back what you already lost.
Facts.
But you can move further and gain things as you go along. Yeah.
Always forward and never behind.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my last question for you for the interview. What is your proudest moment of me? Like, top proud, this is the moment that
it took stages, right? So you graduate from high school, stages. Then I have a picture of you that I carry. Just looking at you going, that boy is good looking, But when you went to college, I came to visit, and you were in charge of the dorm or something like that.
Yeah, all right.
Like, look at this boy, he's being boss for everybody. And okay, can I just be real? And all these females hanging around you. I never forget this one, and I don't want to say, one girl.
Yes.
I think she was blonde.
Yes.
But I remember we dropped you off, and she was climbing you it's like she wanted to release you. It's like I'm like, look at this girl, because you're tall and she's short. I'm like, but then the personalities, and I'm like, I would say to your mom, I guarantee he's not even dating them. They just all around you. But when I saw you in action, taking charge, and then you start playing lacrosse, like, black men don't play lacrosse. You're playing lacrosse. But those are proudest moments. It's hard to pick one specific moment. then from there, seeing you now, the way you are, just like you become a namesake wherever you go. You know, I mean, I go to places and I heard one person was saying, "Oh man, that guy on the stage," and she was trying to describe the guy with the, whatever, and the lady turned to him and said, "This is his father." And she goes, "Oh my God, his father!" At that moment, my hat could not have put in my head at that time, but just to see how she reacted, but just to hear how saying, and then she turned to me and she said, "That's your son. Oh my God, your son could sing. Your son is," for that moment is saying, I could have hear someone saying he was doing something wrong. But when the lady said, "This is his fault," because it's so funny. She was talking to me, didn't know she didn't even know I was a pastor or bishop because she's not. And then the lady is like, "Oh, that's just, yeah, that's his father." To hear that now, where persons that don't really know our link because of these major events that you are active in, and you would hear somebody talking from a distant, man, and all I could say, "Oh, that's my boy. That's my boy." And those are proud moments, and you have to cherish those moments. And that's why I believe in always cherishing those moments, because tomorrow is different. Tomorrow is different. Yeah.
I think one of my proudest moments of you was when I do not remember the guy's name. Heavyset white guy. He's a bishop. He calls you Mr. One Time. I believe so, because you took the bishop test once.
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember walking in, and 3 bishops were talking to me, and I was just giving them conversation right back. And I remember one of them saying, like, "You're very versed, like versed in the Bible." And he's looking at me, and I'm just like, "Yeah, because my dad." And he was like, "Who's your dad?" And I was like, "Michael." And I was like, Bishop Michael Anthony Grant. And he's just like, "That's your dad?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And in my head, it's just, "Yeah, that's my dad." And the way how they were talking about how you took the test once, the way how they were talking about how you deliver, the way how they were talking about it's good to see how his legacy is going, it made me proud to be like, "Nah, that's my dad." Like, you see him.
Yeah, that's a grant.
Yeah, that's a grant. Like, that's what a grant does,
Yeah.
But it gives me a sense of pride, and it's I have to give you your flowers, because it's because of your pride in who you are and your confidence in who you are, but the way how you're still a human to everyone else is what I have picked up. Because there's a lot of people that they could ooze confidence, but then they're just cocky-headed or they just conceited. I understand who I am, but at the same time, I don't allow that to outshine or outmask who you are, who you can be. And I can say that majority of my leadership type, majority of the things that I do is because of you. There's times where I have to literally tell myself that I got to stop, because I can tell if, let's just like put a scenario. If Janika's out, like even Janika, when I'm with my wife and she's with her friends, it's like I become everyone's quote unquote husband because I'm helping out everybody. But then they want to look at her and be like, "What did you do for him to start doing all of this?" And she got to just be like, "It's his upbringing." I was there when you was just like, "No, you don't carry bag. No, stop. Khalib, carry your mother's bags. Khalib, open your door for your mom. Khalib, pump the gas. Khalib, do this." You were literally teaching me how to be the right type of man, not one that just leads by words, but one who leads by actions. And I have to give you your flowers for that, because that's hard to even replicate.
Thanks.
I mean, I see a lot of guys out here, and when I look at them, I'm like, y'all not even doing half the stuff that y'all even supposed to be doing, but y'all want the world on an oyster. And I can always look back at myself and I'm like, "But Khalib, you had a father who taught you how to be the correct man, not a man that the world wants you to be, not the man that everyone else says that you need to be, but the man that you should be, the one that looks after, the one that leads, but also the one that protects and that one that provides." I can honestly say,
see how big my head is.
jeez, bro.
Yeah, but
I can honestly say that the protecting, the providing, the counseling, I'm looking at it, I'm just like, yeah, I am a natural protector. If I'm out with people, I'm like, nah, you go first, you go first. I'm going to make sure that you good. No, I am a natural provider. When you need something, if I can able to give it, I'm going to give it. But I also do counsel. Even through this podcast, I feel like it's counseling people or even counseling myself. Where it's just like, nah, I have words of advice, words of wisdom. I don't know where it's coming from. But this is what I have learned. This is what was instilled in me. This is what I picked up as a sponge. And now all I'm doing is just oozing it out so you can hear it and so you can see it. So that if you need help.
And they follow you through life. Because whatever, to look at my job.
To
Dealing with guys who are facing the worst of the worst. And telling them that life isn't over. Yeah, it's God. It's God.
So to wrap up the episode, we always like to ask, what is a page that you'll take out? And a page is basically a lesson. It could be a word of advice, or it could just be an action that you have done throughout your life that has helped you. So for the fathers that are listening, for the ones who are becoming a father, or the ones that are even thinking of, I am a father, like what should I do? Or I want to be a father. What is one page out of your book that you would tear out and give to them?
I would say allowing your past to make you a better person in the future. And I say that with the point of many of us pay too much attention to what we should have done, what we could have done, and we're stuck. Recognize that, yes, you could have, you should have, but what are you doing now? And we keep living in the past, and while we live in the past, we bury the future. And the present is seem as if nothing is happening. So I would say, if you're good at, and the way I say good at being a father is not a brag or a badge, but take pride in you being a father, because there are many fathers that's not even in their kid's life. If you're that father, take pride, enjoy the moment. And if you are not at that place of being a good father, start. There's always a place that you can start. The idea is that you, as a father, no one could take your place. No one can ever take your place. It's a natural thing that's given to you. I don't go into any event that talks about fathers being donors. Because if I'm there, I'm not a donor. Right? And don't let society dictate how you should be. Ask God for help. He will never fail you.
And on that, I have no page to rip out because I am not no daddy. But however, I do know where my kids are located. But on that note, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Dad, it was great to have you.
It was great.
It was great to have you.
Being here.
You will see his face again, not only for Father's Day,
yeah.
but his face will be will be seen again. Please check us out on Instagram. TikTok is BLNK_PGZ. BLNK_PGZ. We're also on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon. Is kind of hard when Tony Ann is not here. And I did say iHeartRadio, right? Oh, Apple Podcasts. You see, if Tony Ann, if you're looking at this, I am doing a good job. And also, if you want to check out our community, if you want to share some advice, if you want to just hit us up, we are also on Facebook. Check out our community, join the community, and yeah, it was good for you guys to turn in.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dad.
It's weird being interviewed by your own son. But I must say, I love this. And I've always told myself, follow your dreams.
To be honest, I can honestly say you're the reason for all of this, because I remember those fond memories of like Wisdom AV. And because of Wisdom AV, seeing how you set up electronics, seeing how you made sure everything was coordinated, it was like doing this was like second nature. All I had to do was because it's in me. All I had to do was like do a little research and like, I bet I could do this, could do this, and put it together. And yeah.
This is episode 1.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Love you guys.
Yeah.